So this technology has been called many things: the next stage of the internet, a trustless system of value, and the most important technology ever invented. Let's put some perspective on this. But first things first, if you don't know what blockchain actually is, all you need to know is the following, and I'm going to try and avoid the technical terms here. Blockchain is a decentralized, transparent, and verifiable system where value, such as ownership titles, medical records, and cryptocurrency, can be exchanged. This value is stored in something called a digital block. The blocks are linked together in such a way that the unique digital identity of the next block is linked to the identity of the previous block, hence blockchain. Blockchain is shared on a peer-to-peer network where a continuously updated ledger keeps track of who owns what. These ledgers are secured by mathematics. The entire system is distributed among a network of computers rather than resting with a single provider. This means that data can't be tampered with without anyone knowing. And finally, there are many different blockchains used for different applications. So to recap, blockchain is a distributed system that's used to exchange value and can't be tampered with. An important concept to know for this video is the idea of smart contracts. Blockchain enables a new class of apps called smart contracts. Smart contracts basically replace what people would do within any agreement. For example, say you have two parties, Party A and Party B, that agree on some terms. In a smart contract, these terms are written into code. When the conditions have been satisfied, the contract is automatically executed. No lawyers, no company that releases held funds, no disputes, no middlemen needed. It's all automatic, done exactly as both parties had defined in the agreement. You can take this idea further and link smart contracts together to create an entire company that does things automatically. This is called a decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO. The result eliminates waste, reduces risk of fraud, and opens up a whole new world of automatic systems. Alright, so now that we're refreshed with the underlying technology, let's take a look at the impact that this is already having on the world. Let's start somewhere very close to me, the creative video community. Currently we have YouTube and Twitch, but I'll be focusing on YouTube here. YouTube, like most other companies, is interested in profit, and that's fine, there's nothing wrong there. But the way YouTube is being managed leads to some incentives that result in a negative outcome for content creators and users. The two major ones are as follows. Number 1, demonetization. YouTube has to run a fine balance between satisfying the creators, the people who populate the site's content, and the advertisers, those who pay YouTube for having people watch the creators' content. Lately, YouTube has been cracking down on content that it finds might damage an advertiser's brand image. This has led to frustration from content creators, as their revenue streams can vanish overnight, seemingly without explanation. Number 2, advertising. A lot of people find advertising distracting and a bit intrusive, as advertisers can track your online behavior. Well, advertising is just part and parcel of what you have to deal with online media. Or is it? There must be a better way. A few blockchain startups are looking to create a better system. First up, we have Viewly. They're providing direct support for creators through a vote-based tipping system through the blockchain. This cuts out the middleman. Another bonus is that Viewly is ad-free because the payments are made instantly, automatically, through smart contracts. The payments are carried out in cryptocurrency tokens, which can be converted into any form of currency that one wishes. Viewly states that their long-term goal is to evolve into a fully fledged, decentralized autonomous organization. Viewly, not to get confused with Viewly, and Flixo are both similar and run on the Ethereum blockchain, but in these cases, viewers also get paid to watch. Lino is another such project which just successfully raised $20 million in funding. Lino states that they hope to free creators from the suffocating grip of YouTube revenue sharing agreements, terms and conditions, and pay people for watching content. Basically, if your content is in high demand, you get rewarded. Simple as that. No more gatekeepers flanning viewpoints they don't agree with. Project lead Wilson Wee states, quote, "We are trying to create a decentralized autonomous video content community so we can cut out the middleman and don't have the conflict of interest between the users and the content creators." DTube is yet another blockchain video site, but it's been up and running for over a year. So this is all good and interesting to see, but my worry with this is user fragmentation. Initially, I think there's going to be a tussle for which platform to use, but eventually, user adoption will force an equilibrium and the best system will come out on top. Also, seeing that the Ethereum blockchain couldn't even run CryptoKitties without slowing down, I'll say we're still a ways away from an Ethereum blockchain YouTube competitor. But regardless, I think that these ideas are a better way of doing things and will likely be the future of user-based online video creation. And besides, other blockchains such as Cardano could provide more stability. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and take a wider look at the impact blockchain is having. So we'll get to the dizzying array of current blockchain projects, but first, let's take a look at Everypedia. This is basically a blockchain version of Wikipedia, and it's more interesting than it sounds. I sat down to have a chat with the co-founder of Wikipedia, Larry Sanger, who was part of the new project.
You can think of it as a distributed database sort of written for the blockchain, essentially. So it goes hand in hand with the blockchain, or at least with the kind of blockchain that we have, which is based on EOS. EOS will be one of the two main content blockchains platforms. I could go on about that for a long time, and there's many different aspects because there's a lot of different advantages to the blockchain. But what the blockchain does is it opens up the possibility of having a truly credible peer-to-peer network of encyclopedias. Again, it's open source, and the content is open content. But what if we collect all of those articles, or at least links to all of those articles in one place, and then we make them all rateable? So somebody could go to a page about Australia, right? And there's a dozen articles about Australia there, and you read them through and you give your rating of each article. A bunch of other people do that. The best rises to the top. The best article, according to everybody in the system, is bound to be pretty darn good. But what if the people who are doing the rating also share information about themselves? Your nationality, your politics, your religion, your academic specializations, your philosophy, whatever. And then you could look at the articles about Australia and slice them and dice them in different ways. What do the Australians think is the best article about Australia? What about the Americans? Or let's talk about something more interesting. What about the topic of jihad? Imagine, 100 different articles about jihad. Why would there be 100? Because as soon as this sort of thing is created, there is a competition. So people start competing to write the best article. So you can imagine the best articles according to Saudi Arabians, or according to Libyans. Oh, what about according to all Muslims? Or how about Muslims who identify as moderate Muslims? Or how about Muslims who identify as traditional Muslims? Or what about American conservatives or American Democrats, right? You would be able to compare different points of view on a topic like jihad, and that could potentially create a huge amount of understanding that just doesn't exist today. It heightens the level of the conversation. That's the point. And Wikipedia doesn't do it. Wikipedia doesn't allow it. They have only one article about the topic because there's only one community. Yes, of course it's possible, and people enjoy getting themselves into bubbles and internet silos, but I think you're not going to be able to avoid other points of view in today's world. So if you have a competition to represent the best that is known on a given subject, now you have tools to engage in that debate much, much better than you can under a regime of fake news and sensationalistic media of all sorts.
So, restoring global empathy by making people see things from the other point of view is absolutely awesome and very commendable. I'm wishing Larry and the team all the best for this project. Alright, so let's take a look at the wider aspects here. First, government. Dubai. Dubai has set its sights on becoming the world's first blockchain-powered state. In 2016, representatives of 30 government departments formed a committee dedicated to investigating the opportunities across health records, shipping, business registration, and more. It's estimated that the blockchain will amount to $1.5 billion in savings per year. Much of this enhanced productivity will stem from moving to a paperless government, with blockchain document processing removing around 100 million paper transactions a year. Dubai World Trade Center is actually flying me out to the Future Blockchain Summit, one of the world's biggest blockchain conferences, to see what things are really like on the ground. I'll be reporting back, hopefully live over this channel. The conference is a collaboration between Smart Dubai, a government entity exploring new technologies, and the Dubai World Trade Center. Estonia. The Estonian government has partnered with Ericsson on a blockchain initiative to create a new data center where all public records are stored on the blockchain. South Korea. Samsung, of course, is creating blockchain solutions for the South Korean government, which will be put to use in public safety and transport applications. The UK government is also working on blockchain technology for pension payments. Cybersecurity. GuardTime is a company creating keyless signature systems using the blockchain. It is currently being already used to secure the health records of 1 million Estonian citizens. GuardTime is also working with DARPA, Lockheed Martin, and Ericsson. Healthcare. The company GEM is a startup working with the Center for Disease Control. They're going to put disease outbreak data onto the blockchain, which is hoped to increase the effectiveness of disaster relief and response. A company called Simply Vital Health has a couple of blockchain-related projects going on. One of them tracks the progress of patients after they leave the hospital, and another one provides decentralized blockchain patient records. MIT is spearheading a project called MedRec. It's a blockchain project designed to manage authentication, confidentiality, and data sharing of medical records, and is already up and running in Israel. Financial services. Barclays Bank has launched a number of blockchain initiatives involving tracking financial transactions and combating fraud. Barclays state, quote, "Our belief is that the blockchain is a fundamental part of the new operating system for the planet," end quote. Manufacturing and industrial. Geocoin. India's biggest conglomerate, Reliance Industries, has said that it's developing a blockchain-based supply chain logistics platform along with its own cryptocurrency, Geocoin. Transactive Grid is an interesting project based in Brooklyn that allows members to locally produce and sell energy. The goal is to reduce the cost involved with energy distribution. Storage.io is distributed and encrypted cloud storage which allows members to share unused hard drive space. Retail. OpenBazaar is a company that's attempting to build a decentralized market where goods and services can be traded with no middleman. Real estate. Ubiquity is a startup that's creating a blockchain-driven system for tracking the completed legal process, which usually creates friction and expense in the real estate transfer. Transport. Arcade City is an application which aims to beat Uber at their own game, basically bringing ride-sharing to the blockchain. So that is just a fraction of what is going on in the blockchain space. It's becoming clear that a shift is taking place here. Some big players can see that this is a viable option in the future and are getting on board so that they don't miss out. For example, IBM alone is working on 400 different blockchain projects with 63 clients. So almost at the end of the video, but one last thing I want to touch on is who is the biggest winner for blockchain. It's early days, but it seems that blockchain's biggest winners will be those who want to cut out middlemen. For example, for information and content creation services, this seems to entail the Wild West days of the internet, where there was more freedom to see what you want to see without it being controlled and moderated by a governing party. But cutting out the middlemen goes a lot further in developing nations. For example, blockchain is starting to take on the task of bridging a poverty gap around the world. With blockchain, as long as you have access to a smartphone, you will have a way to conveniently access money. Additionally, blockchain is a decentralized system, which means that you don't get charged to transfer money the way you would with a typical financial institution. The former usually deters businesses from reaching certain regions of the world and serving opportunities for developing countries. For example, and this next statistic shocked me, last year, the total amount of cost to send money to sub-Saharan Africa was over $30 billion. This is according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. So $30 billion in frictional losses just by having middlemen. A platform called BitPesa directly aims to solve this problem through blockchain technology, and I'm sure there'll be many other projects on the way. So this alone, leaving all other things equal, that is, the same amount of money flowing from well-off nations to poor nations as is today, many tens of billions of dollars can be generated by just using blockchain. So with that rounds out the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think about blockchain. Has this video widened your perspective a little bit? I personally think that it's very early days, but in the next 5 to 10 years, blockchain or a similar technology will be ubiquitous.
Well, it's about that time, my friends, for the dogmatic and the purists to finally create an entity that they can call their own. It's the first church of crypto. You know, it was only a matter of time, guys. It's only a matter of time. The first church of crypto, guys. What's up, Crypto Nation? It's Peter with Decentralized TV. Today's crypto news bit found on thebitcoin.pub, brought to you by concierge.io. Find your perfect accommodation, especially in Vietnam. The first church of crypto, guys. Let's check it out. The first church of crypto, faith in every block. Lol, what? Here's the serenity prayer, guys. Grant me the serenity to put trust in the block, courage to confront the skeptics, and wisdom to accelerate adoption. You know what? I can dig that. We are a distributed body of worshipers who have put their hope and trust in blockchain. In 2008, a prophet named Satoshi Nakamoto laid out his vision for a decentralized digital currency that could be exchanged instantly with anyone, anywhere in the world. His white paper, hereinafter referred to as the Good Book, marked a major transitional moment for humanity. In the years since, blockchain technology has evolved into a blueprint for a new kind of society, one where faith is placed in mathematics and power is entrusted to community. The first church of crypto was established in 2018 as a conduit for the evangelization of distributed ledger technologies. As a non-denominational body, we do not proselytize any single protocol or consensus algorithm over another. We simply believe in blockchain. Well, here's a correction. First church of crypto. Did you know that distributed ledger technologies is not the same as blockchain? Actually, you can have distributed ledger technologies without a blockchain. You just have digital signatures. And actually, most private companies and large public companies are interested in distributed ledger tech, but that doesn't mean it's actually a blockchain. So when you say you simply believe in a blockchain, the question really is, do you believe in blockchain and distributed ledger tech? Because they're not the same. Looks like you need to get your tenets of your faith correct, my friends. Well, when it comes to giving, gotta tithe if it's a church, right? The economics of sacrifice. We believe generous members should have a generous share in the voice of our movement, especially as it relates to the dispensation of church funds. To that end, the first church of crypto is built on proof of stake-based blockchain system. It should probably be proof of faith or proof of hope. Of course, the church cannot live without investment alone. Recurrent token tithing is strongly encouraged and will be instrumental in the fulfillment of our broader mission and goals. As a non-denominational organization, we plan to accept cryptocurrencies of all types, as well as convertible fiat currencies, essentially meaning we'll take any type of money that you're willing to throw at us. Whether you'll be saved for that money, well, that's up for you and your God, I suppose. To get updates on the upcoming ICO, sign up for our newsletter on the homepage, and you can find that at firstchurchofcrypto.org. Obviously not investment advice. I probably would suggest that you don't invest in this. But it's about that time, guys. The market is here. The market is vibrant. The market is expanding. And we're going to see this type of religious dogmatism. Or is this religious dogmatism, or is this just some guys trying to scam you out of your hard-earned money?
What are these machines doing?
So those computers are miners. They are mining cryptocurrencies, and they're validating the transactions on the blockchain.
Mining operations like Marco's were made possible by pseudonymous programmer Satoshi Nakamoto, who in 2009 created Bitcoin, a decentralized digital currency run by no one entity and beyond the control of any one government. But Nakamoto, whose true identity remains a well-guarded secret, faced an obvious problem. If no physical currency exists, who tracks the ownership of a digital coin? To solve this, he created the blockchain, software that records and stores information, like who owns a Bitcoin, on a decentralized ledger shared across millions of computers. It can't be changed, and it's nearly impossible to hack.
The big thing about mining in general is that it's not one single central entity that validates all the transactions. The miners all over the world are validating them.
So this server farm on this kind of moonscape of Iceland, this might replace a central bank.
It's not only replacing, actually, it's making a central entity obsolete.
When you vote, have you ever wondered whether your ballot is actually counted? If you meet someone online, how do you know they're who they say they are? when you buy coffee that's labeled fair trade, what makes you so certain of its origin? To be sure, really sure, about any of those questions, you'd need a system where records could be stored, facts could be verified by anyone, and security is guaranteed. That way, no one could cheat the system by editing records, because everyone using the system would be watching. Systems like this are on the horizon, and the software that powers them is called a blockchain. Blockchains store information across a network of personal computers, making them not just decentralized, but distributed. This means no central company or person owns the system, yet everyone can use it and help run it. This is important because it means it's difficult for any one person to take down the network or corrupt it. The people who run the system use their computer to hold bundles of records submitted by others, known as blocks, in a chronological chain. The blockchain uses a form of math called cryptography to ensure that records can't be counterfeited or changed by anyone else. You've probably heard of the blockchain's first killer app, a form of digital cash called Bitcoin that you can send to anyone, even a complete stranger. Bitcoin is different from credit cards, PayPal, or other ways to send money because there isn't a bank or financial middleman involved. Instead, people from all over the world help move the digital money by validating others' Bitcoin transactions with their personal computers, earning a small fee in the process. Bitcoin uses the blockchain by tracking records of ownership over this digital cash, so only one person can be the owner at a time and the cash can't be spent twice, like counterfeit money in the physical world can. But Bitcoin is just the beginning for blockchains. In the future, blockchains that manage and verify online data could enable us to launch companies that are entirely run by algorithms, making self-driving cars safer, help us protect our online identities, and even track the billions of devices on the Internet of Things. These innovations will change our lives forever, and it's all just beginning.
Shortly after the 2008 global financial crash, a mysterious white paper emerged from an unknown entity, a person or group calling themselves Satoshi Nakamoto. In this mysterious white paper, a new peer-to-peer financial system was discussed. It was to use a digital cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. It was an omen to people being sick of centralized power meddling with economic systems. Many perceived this new system as a better way of doing things. The technology invented to power this new system was called blockchain, and Nakamoto's paper was its grand unveiling. In this video, we'll talk about some exciting implications of this technology and the impact it could have on all of our lives. So what is blockchain? It's the underlying technology behind cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but its uses go far beyond that. It all sounds complicated, but let me try and break it down into one sentence, an important concept that you need to remember. Simply put, blockchain is a continuously updated record of who holds what. These records are split into linked blocks and then secured using cryptography. The cryptography part just means that you can be sure about the records. This is dubbed as automated trust, or trust that's inherently built into the system. The list of records, known as a distributed ledger, is decentralized and available to everyone to see and verify. In addition, the blockchain is tamper-evident and unhackable due to its distributed nature. Everyone knows when a block has been messed with because it is rejected by the rest of the system. If you want to know more details, I've already done a video about the basics of how blockchain works in regards to cryptocurrencies. I'll leave that video and other information sources in the description below. Blockchain has a social perception strongly related to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and most people view the blockchain as something for intellectual tech-savvy criminals or people that are anti-government. But the emerging truth is that the blockchain has applications far beyond cryptos and as a whole will be nothing short of revolutionary. I've invited Dr. Adrian McCullough, a blockchain lawyer who's at the cutting edge of what's going on in the industry, to speak to us today.
Alrighty. I'm a lawyer of 30 years experience. I'm the only lawyer with a PhD in IT security. My thesis involved technical analysis of digital signatures and hash algorithms, which happens to be the underlying technology for blockchain. So a blockchain is just a special type of data repository that is in itself tamper evident.
Blockchain technology is being called the next stage of the internet by many.
But I believe that this is now the next generation of the internet. and that it holds vast promise for every business, every society, and for all of you individually.
Let me break it down. Our current internet is an internet of information. It's based on the concept of copying and distributing information, be it video, email, or data. All of these are copies. For example, if you want to watch a video on YouTube or receive an email, you're looking at a digital copy of the original. But what if we take this further to the next stage? What about assets that provide real value, like contracts such as a house or car ownership, a stock, a bond, money, votes, or digital identities? The problem is, you don't want to have these things as copies. For example, you don't want to send someone $5,000 yet still have the original $5,000 under your name. This was called the double spending problem by cryptographers. Despite the name, this basically means the problem of having two digital copies of something that should only have one unique identity. The cryptography element of the blockchain enabled it to be the first technology of its kind to solve the double spending problem. Now for the first time, we can build a new stage of the internet based on real value, and this is partly why it's such a big deal. So where can the blockchain be applied? In my talk with Dr. Adrian, he discusses the FITS model of blockchain application. FITS is an acronym. Using this model, the best place to use blockchain are places with high possibility of fraud, an intermediary or middleman, environments with high throughput, and stable data. I'll let Dr. Adrian explain further.
You should try to run against your environment what's called the FITS model, F-I-T-S. The FITS model stands for, F stands for fraud. If you are in an environment where there is a history, propensity, likelihood of fraud involved in various transactions, then the blockchain can assist in reducing the likelihood of fraud actually occurring.
Adrian goes on to say that this is why blockchain is being used for international finance transactions.
The next area of the FITS is the I. If you have an environment where there are intermediaries involved, then you may be able to disintermediate those parties if they really don't provide value.
He goes on to say that we can get average transaction settlement times from 2 days down to 15 minutes by taking away middlemen. Throughput or number of transactions per second is another consideration. It turns out that Bitcoin can only do 10 transactions per second, while MasterCard and Visa can do about 80,000. But researchers are currently looking into increasing the throughput.
You then look at things which Vincent Grimoli from the University of New South Wales has developed. He's been able to increase the throughput to 400,000 transactions a second through what's called decentralized computing, using 100 laptops, PCs to do the processing power.
And next is the stability of data. For a blockchain application, you don't want volatile data. You want things that are going to stay the same for at least a while. Things such as land ownership titles and personal information. So that's the theory about what systems you should look for in regards to using blockchain applications. But where is the blockchain actually being used today? Here's a quick fire round of applications underway. Blockchain land registries are being looked at in Honduras and Sweden. Diamonds are looking to be tracked by the blockchain to stop things like blood diamonds. The Nasdaq Stock Exchange will soon begin a blockchain system to record the trading in privately held companies. The Bank of England has stated that the blockchain is a significant innovation that could have far-reaching implications in the financial industry. Not only this, but 6 banks, including Barclays, Credit Suisse, and HSBC, are all planning on making a single digital cryptocurrency to clear and settle transactions using the blockchain. Microsoft is even getting in on the action by building a framework using the Ethereum blockchain. On the social media front, there's Steemit, a Reddit competitor, and its video companion, DTube, a YouTube competitor. Both are blockchain-based platforms where you can get paid in cryptocurrency for creating content. This is showing a new direction in where social media could go. As a matter of fact, I've actually just signed up for Steemit myself. Okay, so this is all good, but let's turn things up a notch. Blockchain goes even further when we talk about something called a decentralized autonomous organization, a DAO or DAO for short. Because of blockchain technology, we now have the capability to create huge company organizations that are distributed and automated for the first time in history. This has never been done before and could provide near limitless potential. Before the blockchain, we were already halfway there. We have organizations like YouTube that are a mix of the old-style central management with a decentralized user base creating content. A DAO would have computer code that runs the rules and decisions instead of a central management team at the top. The people in the decentralized network would decide on the rules, form a consensus, and create something called a smart contract, basically a set of computer-coded rules that a computer would execute later when needed. In other words, a DAO is like a democratic company that's automatically run.
So a DAO is meant to be a decentralized, so it's on the blockchain, there's no central management involved, autonomous in that the code will run the transaction, and it's meant to be some form of organization. The difficulty from a legal perspective is that no one at this point in time has been able to classify exactly what a DAO is. It may be that in a few years' time, DAOs will become so popular that legislators will need to create special legislation that will recognize what a DAO is, but at this point in time, no one knows.
Let's take a look at a basic hypothetical example of how this might work, but just with one smart contract. So say in the future, when the blockchain is readily established, you want to buy a used Tesla Model 3. Traditionally, you'd go to a dealer or an individual, you'd make sure that the details and the history of the car are correct, you'd hassle for a price with the seller, take some money out from the bank, transfer the money, sign a lot of paperwork, wait for the money to clear, and then you can finally have the car. This will take around a few days to do. Now, with the blockchain, using a smart contract, you could have this order all carried out in real time. The car would be uploaded to the blockchain so that you would already know that the details are correct because trust is built into the system. You could buy this car with a cryptocurrency that's attached to your bank account, and all of the ownership and other details about the car is executed in a smart contract, so everything would happen in a matter of minutes instead of days. Your ownership of the car is now attached to your digital identity on the blockchain. The global records in the blockchain system is now updated so that everybody in the system now knows that this car was sold to you. You can take all of this a step further by linking up different smart contracts into an organization similar to Airbnb or Uber, so the whole process is automatic, with rating systems of service and customer satisfaction, etc. Although that setup is a sharing economy model, according to Dr. Adrian, a group of smart contracts can easily be arranged in this way. So I hope that you're beginning to see the importance and potential of such technology. But it's not all roses. Right now, there are still some downsides. Malicious smart contracts, for example. These can theoretically be designed to clog up the entire system. In addition, if there are actual coding errors within a decentralized autonomous organization itself, this could create massive problems. Another thing is that the blockchain is also permanent. Every record of a transaction is stored there for all time, and this doesn't sit well for those concerned with privacy and the right to be forgotten. Dr. Adrian did state that there are going to be some entities called oracles, and these guys have special clearance to make edits on the blockchain. But overall, this is still an issue that needs further looking into.
As I tell people, when we talk about blockchain and we talk about DAOs and ICOs and things of that nature, we are at this stage in the blockchain ecosystem probably the equivalent of 1993 when the internet was opened up by President Clinton and the National Science Foundation. Prior to 1992, the internet was only open to research organizations, government agencies, defense contracting organizations. Who would have thought in 1992 that we would have companies like Google, Amazon? All of those companies have taken advantage and looked at the internet and said, how can I use this piece of technology? I have no idea what some really smart master's PhD student is going to do, and say, we could use the blockchain or a smart contract or a DAO to do this. May come from the University of Queensland, Curtin University in WA, Stanford, Who knows what someone is going to think about in the future and say, well, we can use this technology to do this. I don't believe it's going to be me. I'd love it to be me, but there'll be some smart people out there who will look at this technology and say, let's do this, and the rest of the world say, wow, that's really something I want to get on board and I want to utilize that service.
So while everyone's focused on the buzz of artificial intelligence, I really think that the blockchain is a dark horse that's going under the radar, mainly because it's not as romanticized and the concept is a little bit harder to grasp. Regardless, blockchain is the next step of the internet, a complete overhaul of how things in our world are going to be recorded, organized, and run. In the end, I personally think it's going to be a combination of artificial intelligence and the blockchain that will be our future.